I have a very special treat for you, and that are Stoic principles that will help you to overcome any kind of circumstance. They will help you to not be triggered, and they will help you to manifest much, much better. No matter how bad it looks, it all doesn't matter. Circumstances are absolutely transitory and you can overcome all of them. I have been applying these principles for many years and it absolutely made me a master manifester. So I want to share it with you today. If you are frustrated, if you are upset, if you are obsessed with your manifestation, or if things are just not going the way you wanted them, then stick around until the end. You don't want to miss any of this. This is gonna boost your manifestations so much and you will feel so much better. This is gonna change everything. This is gonna make you transcend any circumstance. So let's get started. Those Stoic principles are actually very, very old. They are approximately 2000 years old and they come from the Roman philosophers and Roman emperors. The first Stoic principle I want to present to you today is from Marcus Aurelius himself. He is probably the most important and the most famous Stoic. He was super successful and he was one of the biggest Roman emperors, and it goes like this. Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it. I really love this. And it means no matter what happens, you can always be calm and you can always be collected and you can always think before you think, you can always reflect before you act. This quote means that you can always be calm no matter what happens, and if you do that, it will be very, very beneficial for you. So let's look at the next Stoic principle and the next quote. And this one is from Epictetus, and it says the following. Humans are troubled not by the events, but by the meaning they give to these events. And I think this is super, super powerful. Also, when it comes to manifesting, everything is about interpretation. No matter what happens, you can actually always find a positive interpretation, and then you will manifest amazing and positive outcomes. And if you give things a negative interpretation, then you will be very bothered, and it will also most likely lead to bad manifestations to come. So give everything at least a neutral interpretation, and you will save yourself a lot of trouble, and you will set yourself up for better manifestations as well. This kind of became my number one rule in life. Don't interpret negative things. Think from love, interpret from love, and act from love, and you will absolutely harvest love and success as well. Whatever you do, whatever happens, whatever other people do, always think about this, please. It is very, very, very important. Don't forget about this ever. So let's look at the next quote. This one is from Marcus Aurelius again. This quote says, "Nowhere you can go should be more peaceful and more free of interruptions than your own soul." Which means no matter what happens and no matter where you go, you should not get off your path. You should stick to your knowing and stick to what you know is gonna happen and what you know you are going to manifest. No matter what happens around you, you don't give a damn, and no one can take that away from you. It is kind of similar to that quote in the Bible. I unfortunately forgot which verse that is. It says, "Even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil." And that means that you should not ever give in to fear, that you should not get off your path of your knowing and of your favorite manifestations. You should never give up, and you should never be fearful, and never let anybody tell you otherwise. No matter what people talk about, no matter if people don't agree with you, no matter if people don't believe in you, you don't care, because you know this, and this is very, very powerful. No matter what happens, you can manifest it anyway, and circumstances are always transitory. No circumstance is so bad that it cannot be overcome, so don't worry, and everything will be fine in the end, and everything that is not perfect is not the end. Sometimes things happen that seem super, super bad, but often these seemingly super, super bad events actually lead to the biggest blessings. And they are actually blessings in disguise. So don't get thrown off no matter what happens. You will have an amazing outcome if you stay strong and know that you will. Okay, I have 3 more quotes for you.
One from Seneca that says,
"The wise do not put a wrong construction upon everything." And this one is also about interpretation. That means that you should not put your interpretation onto everything that you actually do not know. You do not know how people intended it, so basically whatever happens, you don't know people's intentions and you don't know people's thoughts behind their actions, so don't think negatively and don't put a bad interpretation upon it. Using a negative one will absolutely not help you, and it will also not help the situation or the other person or anything. So always put a positive interpretation upon everything if you have to use any interpretation at all. Be neutral is also good. You will not be triggered if you're neutral. You will not feel excess potential if you're neutral. But I highly recommend you to use positive interpretations instead of negative or neutral ones, because with the positive interpretation, you will actually manifest a very positive outcome. We don't even know if what we interpret is true, so why not use a positive interpretation instead of a negative one? If we even want to put our thoughts onto those of other people, then let's do it with positive ones and use positive interpretations, because positive interpretations will lead to positive results. Keep this in mind. This is also very, very useful. The next one, this one is from Epictetus. Epictetus is also a Roman philosopher, and this one says, "A ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor should a life on a single hope." And I think this one is also super, super powerful when it comes to manifesting, because this one means you can be open to pleasant surprises. And if you're open to pleasant surprises, then you will most likely receive those. So you will harvest something positive if you are open to other ways and other events than those you initially planned. Because the universe is often surprising us with things that are very different from what we expected. Things are changing very quickly, also circumstances, of course, but you never know what's gonna happen. So it could also be that something very positive is suddenly happening, and that means that you can not just stick to one way. There are always so many ways that lead to happiness, or that lead to success, or that lead to the most beautiful relationship, or that lead to huge amounts of money, or whatever it is that you want to manifest. There are always so many ways, so don't get stuck on one way, don't get stuck on one specific person, and also don't get stuck on only one way to make a lot of money, because actually there are so many ways. Whenever you are open to pleasant surprises, then you will actually most likely harvest these. So always keep that in mind. You can be open to pleasant surprises, and if you do, you will most likely harvest them. And also, it will prevent you from obsessing over your manifestation, which often keeps manifestations away. If you don't obsess over your manifestation, it will very likely come much, much, much faster than as if you obsess over it. So don't always get stuck on one specific thing. There are also many other ways that can lead to the most amazing happiness, and it could turn out even much better than what you first thought about. Keep this one in mind too. This is very, very powerful. I live by that, and I often get pleasant surprises, so trust me, this works. And by the way, I will do another video on stoic manifesting in the very near future. If you like this stoic approach to manifesting, then let me know in the comments, because then I can make many more videos about this. There are still a lot of principles that we can talk about, and also those that I discovered by myself that do not have any quote of any philosopher, but Stoicism and manifesting is very, very powerful. Stoicism goes hand in hand with beautiful manifestations. And since I became very, very resilient, since then I started to manifest amazing good things all the time, actually completely effortless. So I really recommend you do that too, and you find that resilience and you train yourself to be not triggered and not get thrown off easily, and you will absolutely manifest amazingly well, better than ever before, trust me. So the last quote from today is again from Seneca, and this one says, if you have the will to conquer anger, it cannot conquer you. And I think this one is also super powerful, and it can be applied to any kind of negative emotion or any kind of negative spiraling. I mean, of course, you can have any emotion that is human, and it's totally fine to have any kind of negative emotion too from time to time. But the most important thing is that you do not get stuck on it and that you can quickly move away from it and get over it and get back on your feet and get back on track and keep going with what you know you want to manifest and keep going with what you know that will happen if you believe in it. So don't get thrown off and don't spiral into negativity because it will absolutely not help you. If you conquer anger, anger cannot conquer you. And the same goes for sadness or being upset or being frustrated or being obsessed. Anything that is not productive for manifesting can be removed from your consciousness. You can train yourself to let go of negative thoughts or of doubts or wavering or negative assumptions. You can learn to let go of spiraling or of obsessing or also of being triggered. You can easily let go of anything that is not productive for manifesting by just assuming that it will pass, by just looking at it neutral. Don't interpret, don't look at the story behind it. Just let the emotion be there and sit with it for a while without thinking about any reason or any backstory. And then let that emotion, you can really actually visualize that, float from your brain out of your skull and out of your head into the air and float to the clouds and float away and dissolve. You can actually really think like that with any negative or unproductive thought, with any doubt, with any worry, with any wavering, or with any obsessive thinking, and of course also with any negative assumption or negative emotions like anger. You can have all of those emotions. It's not gonna mess up your manifestation if you have a negative thought or if you have a negative emotion here and there, but it will be very helpful for your manifestations to let go of these rather quickly and get back on track and know what you know and know what you want to manifest. If you want to know more about effortless manifesting, then click here and watch my playlist about how easy manifesting actually is. And if you want to know how to actually manifest your SP to be obsessed with you instead of obsessing over them, then click here and watch my SP playlist. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Have a great night or day wherever you are. Happy manifesting and see you very, very soon. Bye bye.